Alright, so hey guys, so if you see me in my shirt here, not supposed to be working today, it's Sunday. I try not to work too much on Sundays. But my truck decided to break down on me, and so what I did first is I took the distributor off because, well, technically, so it was running, it broke down. We went through all the sensors, we did the ignition coil, we did the ignition control module, be quiet Coco, the ICM is what it is, ignition control module. We changed that out, didn't fix it, so right now we just got it laying right there. Since it didn't fix it, we just hooked it up for test drive, for testing, and we're getting fuel. And what you need to get, you need to have about 55 psi, give or take a psi or two, and we're well within the range. I think it's in the high 50s. So what we got is, I didn't grab it, let me grab it right quick. So I took the distributor cap off and the distributor rotor off, and I cleaned the cap and I cleaned the rotor, and it was pretty well worn. Like it's well worn. I'm gonna do this before I do anything else. When I was checking the plugs, we had 2 of them that weren't getting spark. I didn't check all of them because the rear ones are really hard to get to. This front one right here on the left hand side is really hard. I think that's cylinder number, I want to say it's 6, or it might be 7 or 8. It's 6, 7, or 8. I don't remember. So what we're gonna do, we get ordered in a new, let's get here. Let's see if I can get it. We ordered in a new distributor rotor and a new distributor cap. I will show you the difference between these and those when we get it off of there. What you're gonna need to do this, and make sure, first of all, make sure you don't break it. These can only go on one way, so it's not too difficult to get on there. A good way to save you some time when you take it off, just remember what orientation this lever is. This is the center, of course, and then that's the lever. Just remember that, it makes it a lot easier. So what you're gonna need is this is a 1998 Chevy K1500 with the 5.7 350 Vortec on it. So it has the so it's not, some people don't like the engine, some people like the engine. I like the engine, so it all depends. So what you're gonna need is, you're gonna need a wrench extension, or unless you got the screwdriver. If you got a screwdriver, use that. I don't have a T15 screwdriver, but you will need so I'm just going and using sockets. You will need a T15 star bit, torque spit, and you will need a T20 torque spit. Now, what the T15 is for, when you take the first 2 screws you're going to take off for the cap are T20s. The next 2 screws are T15s. That's what's hold the rotor on. And this one has a little bit of play on it. It has just over 300,000 miles on it. It's original to the engine as far as I know. So we're hoping this will fix the problem. If not, now when I took it off, it did have a smidge of play, but it's not like it freely rotates a certain amount. It just has a little bit of play in it. It does have 300,000 miles on it, so I'll cut it some slack. It's been a good rotor. So here's our T15. We're gonna set that aside. Now I wish I had one of those little buggy things that I could get into the engine. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tilt y'all towards the engine bay here as I climb inside the truck. Be careful, like I almost did it with my pants here, of your hood latch. That's always a pain to get in the way, and be careful not to damage your radiator. doing it this way. I got my shield off because if you don't take the shield off, you're most likely gonna break it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this aside right now. And on these engines, they're pretty straightforward on which plugs or which, mainly because these little brackets here that hold them all in, they're all lined up. So what you have here is you pull this one out. Let's see if I can get it out with these. Ow. Broke a fingernail right there, just for y'all. Now this goes to your coil pack right here. That's where this one goes to. That's where all the electricity comes from. Got my nail good on that one. And then we're just gonna go through and unplug them. But yeah, it's really hard to get these things wrong when on this setup anyways. There we go. Let's see. Where's that one go? And I'll figure that out later. So now we got all our plugs off. We're gonna take our torque bit right here. This is 220. There's one in the front. And we're just gonna loosen that right quick. And now what I like to do, I like to take this off and I feel behind here. Depending on yours, that's too tight. You need to get off. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna have to get my other extension. This one's slightly too long. Don't put pressure on that. That's your AC, the AC hoses and everything. Now what I did, I grabbed my other wrench and my other extension and put a reducer on it. Mainly because this is about an inch shorter. Let's see if I can get this out. Make sure you hold that screw with your finger. I'm just gonna set mine on top of the AC here. Now if you saw that I could get it undone with this extension, that's because I could get a good enough grip on this extension. My other extension, I couldn't get a good enough grip. They were on there really tight though, which is good. Don't over tighten them because you can actually break the ears on the plastic. Hold it with your finger and that comes right off. Now we're going to take the cap off. There's the cap. And now we're going to take the rotor. So we're going to grab our T15 here. That's pretty good. And I'm noticing where it's located. Let's see, where's that? we go. Set that aside. And I'm paying attention to where my lever is here. So I want to take these screws out. Now these things again can only go in. That was close. I almost lost the screw. These things can only go in one way. So if you can see this right here, see where it's worn all the way through. When I was cleaning this, I pulled that prong up to get a little bit better connection. And here's the difference. So here's the old rotor with that that flange broken off, and here's the new one. Big difference between those flanges. Now if you see these are a little shorter, that's okay. They're meant to go with the new caps. And if you pay attention to them, they're that far off from being identical to each other. Doesn't matter, this one matches the new cap for this truck, so it's good to go. Now for the new cap, so this is after it's been cleaned, but you see all the corrosion on there, and you see where it's hit before. That's this little prong right here, that little prong hitting each little terminal as it goes around, and over time it wears it down. But you see all that corrosion on there. Now I did clean this as best as I could when I had it off, and clearly it wasn't enough, but I mean those were caked in actually I don't corrosion. Yeah, caked in corrosion. This was actually the worst bit. I mean it took me forever to get all the corrosion off of it, but that's the difference. So we got the new versus, the old versus the new. Now these things are numbered. So what you want to do is you want to, well, let me space these the right way. You want to visually inspect, make sure they're identical, make sure all the numbers are the same. Now this is for this truck, so I already know it's the right one. These things are super cheap. They're 15 and 30 bucks, depending on where you get them from. But there we go. And now we're just gonna put it back together. Oh yeah. You get these extra screws with them. I won't go ahead and use these new ones, and I won't go ahead and put the old ones in this bag in case I want them for later use or something happens. The reason I'm using these new screws for it is because I don't know if the holes are different diameters. So I'm just going ahead and using, they don't look different, but I mean, might as well just go ahead and use the new ones since I have them. And they are going to be Phillips head on that one. See, that's annoying. They put Torx on this one and they put Phillips on that one. That's just annoying, but hey. I'm not making something. They're readily accessible in Torx, so I don't know why they didn't do it. Don't ask me. Ask the engineer. So as the ones for your rotor are still T15s, and then the one for the cap are now Phillips head. So I'm gonna grab a Phillips head. So if y'all have watched my channel, videos on my channel, you know how much I love these Harbor Freight screwdrivers. I just picked up 4 more of these. They last for a really good while. The tips don't break on them. They don't wear down too fast. They were on sale for $1 each, and I love these things. They come out. Let's see. That one's in there. That one's still pretty new. And then you have a small flathead and small Phillips. And then you have a large flathead and large Phillips. That's a number 2 flathead. I mean, number 2 Phillips. I actually have taken these out and just used the hex there. I can't remember what size hex that is, but I have taken those out and just used the hex there. So they're very useful. So yeah. And here we go again. We're gonna pit up our T20 just so I don't lose it. And we don't know if this is necessarily what's wrong with the truck. Ow! This is what my guess is wrong with the truck. Now again, this rotor only goes on one way, and since I looked at it before I got it, where'd I put the screws? Since I looked at it before I took it off, I know where they go. There we go. Finally got it lined up. Alright. Grab my Torx here. Now you have the option to go with OEM. To go with it. I was not going to spend the extra money on getting OEM. It's like $60 or $80 for this kit. I'm not going to pay that for this kit. Let me see something. Again, I'm not putting pressure on this, I'm just using it as balance. Now on these, I don't know if you notice, on these prongs, they're actually about, I say about, they're almost an 1/8 inch longer than the old one. So that one's been, so the old one has been working for a very long time. Now this can also only go one way, but the easy way to do it is, if you remember the C here, that was on the left hand side. So that helps us remember which side it goes on. And there we go. Grab our screw here. Grab our other one. Oh, that was close. I gotta get up. Oh god. Stretching out like that. I've been doing stuff all day, stretching out like that. It hurts my arm right there. Alright, so now we're gonna go back through and put the leads back on. Now again, it does have the brackets on there, so it's super easy. Alright, there's that side. There we go. Alright. Let's get, I'll be right back and we'll get some airflow. If y'all were wondering what the mass airflow, sensor looked like, this is it. It's kind of dirty. If you take this side off here, actually I'll go ahead and do it. But so there's your sensors. Don't touch them. But you see those little strings right through there. Here, there we go. See those little nicks right there? Those are your sensors. This is your filter. We're gonna clean this right quick. This is the reader for it. And there's it clean. So you can buy a mass airflow sensor at any auto shop. That's clean now. So that's for those who want to know what it looks like. Alright, so we're gonna hook everything back up and hopefully that fixes it. Get a little wing nut on. And attach all your hoses and cables. Also your air filter. And yeah, you gotta be careful when you put it on there because sometimes you can screw it up. There we go. I just put it on there, cockeyed a little bit. Plug that in. Tighten this one up. Now on mine, these are just flat heads. I mean, it could be different for yours or your engine, because these engines go in, I think, from 96 to 2000 or 94 to 2000. So they're all in there. Hoses are in. My meter's hooked up. I'm gonna go grab the battery right quick and hopefully it's finished charging. Alright, so battery's not even close to finished charging. It's actually still only at 70%. I just put it on there like 30 minutes ago. So, but that's how you replace the rotor and the cap on it. So if y'all have any questions, please comment, like, subscribe. I'm sorry if I sound dreary. It's been a long day. It's now like, I want to say it's about 7 o'clock and I've been up since like 5. So, and I've been working since about then. So it's been a long day. But yeah, that's how you do it. I'll fast forward to when we have the battery in there, or if it doesn't work, I'll just fast forward until with the new for the new unit back there, because I'm 99% certain that's gonna be it, and that does have a bunch of play in it, so I'm pretty sure that's it on it not starting. Y'all have a good one. Bye. Alright guys, so hey, welcome back. It's actually next day, I think. Yeah, next day, because yesterday I was doing this. So what we did, you saw the previous part of me taking the rotor here and the rotor cap off, And what we did is, you notice that it was a little shaky. It has 300,000 miles on it, and it's, I mean, 300,000 miles and it's still going. It's good. And sorry about me being really tired. I could barely stand up. I was just very, very tired. So what we did is we went in there, we took everything off, we replaced the terminal here, which I'm just gonna call this terminal. I don't know what exactly this part's called. I can't remember. But we replaced this, even though it was a little wobbly. If this didn't work, I was gonna go ahead and replace it. But we went ahead and replaced it, and we checked everything. And we replaced the cap too, because it has 300,000 miles on it. Technically 328 miles, I think. 328,000 miles. No, sorry, 300,028 miles. We did that, but you can see. I want to bring you over here. Well, actually, yeah, I want to bring you over here. I'll get y'all down. So here's that old rotor. So if you can see, yeah, I'm actually gonna break that off real quick. Actually, man, that's amazing. It's amazing that thing stayed on. It literally just crumbled away as I pulled up on this. But as you can see, oh, here, let me put y'all back up on the mount. As you can see, there's only those two parts of the flange here to actually conduct any electricity. So, and you can see a clear hole ran straight through it. Like it's just so worn out. Like it literally just popped off there. That's how worn out it was. Now we come over to here. This is still in really good shape. The only thing is that the bracket did just like it's crumbling away at my hand. The piece just fell out. And this was, I think this was our main culprit, mainly because of all that burning and oxidation on there. I tried to sand it down and it just kept on going and going. But that's our main culprit. And then we have this guy here, which is these are all our terminals. So that's let's see, this one's cylinder 1, this is cylinder 2. So it just depends, cylinder 1, cylinder 2, just depends on which way the wires are going in this one. But there's our terminal cap, our rotor cap here. And you can see how it's beveled on this one right here. See how that one's beveled like that? And it's on every single one. Now these were more heavily corroded before I sanded them. You see all the scratch marks because I had a piece of sandpaper. I did the best I could, and it just was not working. This one we just went ahead and replaced since this came as like a little kit. We just went ahead and replaced it. I just dropped I actually found it. Well, found the piece, but this was our main culprit. That being our main culprit, so it was originally like that, and that's all that was conducting electricity, is those two little wires there. And we did go ahead and replace the up under here. There's your coil pack and your ICM ignition control module is right up under there, right to the bottom left, underneath this well, kind of underneath, but beside this little air box for the air intake. What you don't have to do is you don't have to remove your O2, your mass airflow sensor. And then there's another sensor on the other side of it. You don't have to remove those two little plugs, one there and then one on the other side. You don't have to remove this hose here, and then you remove this little wing nut right there, and the whole thing just pops right off. I'd like to take the air filter off just to make it easier, and then just pull up from the back and pull it off, and it just comes right off. And then you have two bolts that hold on. If you need to replace your ICM or your coil, You just need to take off 2 bolts and the entire thing comes out. You can buy an entire set from Amazon for, it depends on your vehicle. It can be anywhere from $30, $35, all the way up to usually around $120 to $180 is usually the rough estimate for the entire housing. But you can buy them separately, like them. The coil is usually between $20 and $50. The ICM is the expensive part. You can get them as cheap as $15, and this one I actually bought for $15 just because I was in a pinch at the time. That was over 6 months ago, still working just perfectly fine, but I did not expect it to last this long. It has about 30,000 miles on it. I'm still impressed that it's going this long. It might have 20,000, but somewhere in there. So we got that. You can actually see the coil. That's actually the coil hanging out right there because I haven't bolted it back on yet. And so yeah, let's go crank it up real quick. But yeah, so there you go. It has 300,036 miles on it, and we're just gonna watch it. Starts right up. Now before it would just crank and crank and crank and crank and crank, never start. So that was it. That was the rotor and the rotor cap. Sorry, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. It just turned off. So that was the distributor cap and the rotor that we changed out, and all that takes is the 15 mil to change. This one came out with Phillips. The new one came with Phillips, and we went ahead and replaced it with new screws. But the old one had a T20 screws for the cap, and then T15 screws for the rotor part of it. And we just pulled those off. We tried cleaning them the first time, didn't work. It got better, like it sounded like it wanted to crank, but it just still wouldn't crank. So I went in and ordered a new one, and the new one came with Phillips head bolts with the T20, Phillips head for the outers and T15s for the inners, for the inner bolts, screws that hold it on, and that's all we changed. So you can see right here, we got 300,038 miles on there, 0.4, and that's everything. It cranks up just fine. Here, I'll crank it up one more time, mainly because I like the way it sounds when it cranks up. And our check engine light right there is off. I'm not wearing my seatbelt right now, so there is the my seatbelt light, and everything's working perfectly. Y'all have a good one. Bye.